how to start working with the SimLab. The SimLab is a feature in Tinkercad that allows you to add movement and physics to your design. So let's do it. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to start with the most simple sim possible, getting a ball to roll down a ramp. So we'll bring out a box, we'll flatten it down, we'll stretch it out, kind of like that. And then we're going to rotate it just a little bit. We don't want to give it too strong an angle, something like that. And we'll raise it up. So we have our ramp there. Okay. And then we will probably want to put some sidewalls on this because we're going to have a ball roll down it and it could roll off the side. So let's put on some sidewalls. So we'll bring out another box and it's magnetized. So we'll just let it be magnetized. We'll put it on a corner somewhere. I'll put it on this little corner here. And then we'll sort of narrow it down here a little bit like that and like that. And then we can stretch it out and give it the full length of that ramp there. Doesn't have to be very thick, just a little wall. Yeah. And then we can duplicate that and arrow that duplicate over to the other side. All right, now we have kind of a channel there. All right, let's group this whole thing. So let's group it. And then let's take a ball, a sphere, and we're going to drag it and let it be magnetized. And we're going to just place it right there. And it looks like it will actually be a little bit too big for this ramp. So I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to take this object and I'm going to make it a little wider so the ball will fit. All right, now we can take that ball again and re-drop it. We'll place it right there. Okay, we have a ball and a ramp. Now, obviously, we want this ball to roll down this ramp. So let's do it. We're going to head over to the falling apple, which is the SimLab. We'll click on SimLab there. And you can see it kind of rendered. And now there's a play button. So if we hit play, we would expect the ball to roll down the ramp. But the whole thing just falls to the ground. And that's because we have to change a few parts of this design here. So we're going to go click on the reset. And we want the ball to move, but we want the ramp to be static. We want the ramp to not move. So we can select just the ramp. And you'll see a little feature over here that says make static. So we'll make the ramp static, but the ball is still dynamic. The ball will still roll. So now it should work. We'll hit play, and the ball rolls down the ramp, and there it goes. So everything's looking good. Let's reset that, and let's go back into your design area, out of the sim and back into design. And let's take this thing and let's lift it up a little higher and maybe kind of move it over a little bit. Okay, now we want this ball to bounce onto an object. So we're going to take another ramp here and another box, and we're going to flatten it down. And we'll raise it up, and we'll just kind of put it so that the ball will hit this thing. Place it right about there. Okay. All right, let's go back into our sim. So back into our sim. Now we want this object to be static, so we're going to click on that object. We're going to make it static. But let's change the material of this. So right now it defaults as plastic. But if we click on this material, we can make it into bouncy rubber. And then it should have more bounce. So let's hit play and let's see how much it bounces. Boom. Okay. And we could reset. We could change, let's say, this object from being plastic to being made of, let's say, steel. And now you can see it has higher density, right? So it's going to have more mass, or more mass to it. So let's hit play and you get like that, right? We could go into here and we could take this object and we could duplicate it, arrow it over, arrow it down a little bit, and then we could go like that and make a whole series of little bouncy ramps here. Let's see what happens now. So we'll go back into our apple, and it maintains them as just being rubber, and they're all still static, so they're not moving because it remembered that this one was static. If we wanted to change one of them, we could change that one, let's say, to make it dynamic, but we wouldn't want to do that. So let's hit play and see what happens. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Ooh, okay. All right, cool. Pretty simple, right? Let's go back into here, and let's make a few changes. I'm going to get rid of this stuff, and I'm going to move this whole thing over, and I'm going to put a wall at the end of this thing. So I'm going to cruise this over to right there, and I'm going to bring that over like that, and I'm going to flatten that a little bit like that. Now the ball's going to, of course, hit that ramp there. So we want to give it some sort of a hole that it can fall through. So we're going to take our cylinder hole, and we're going to place it on there with the cruise tool. And let's make it a little bit bigger. Kind of control or shift stretch to kind of maintain the scale. And let's shove it down in. So we have a hole now. And let's see if that's going to work. I'm going to arrow it so it's right at the end. Make it maybe a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. And some is above, some is below, so I can go ahead and group that, cut that out, and we have a hole. All right. All right, let's see what happens if we hit the apple and hit the sim, and oh, everything fell. Why is that? That's because once we make a change to an object, it will return it back to its dynamic state. So we have to go into there, and we have to make this again restatic. Okay, let's hit play, and it goes through the hole. Okay, so let's say we wanted to create some sort of a, whoops, we'll get to the throwables later. I'm going to go back into here, and let's say that we want this ball to fall into that spot there. Got that kind of shadow kind of to mark it. And let's make a little teeter-totter so it falls onto this thing and it flings an object. So let's do that. We'll bring out a box here, and we'll flatten it down, and we'll stretch it out, kind of using that shadow. Yeah. And let's see, we're going to have to raise this up. And we want to put a little fulcrum under here. So we're going to take this green thing and place it there. And let's bring that up so it's a fulcrum for our teeter-totter here. I think, is it touching? We probably want it to be pretty close. Yep, it's touching, so that looks good. All right, where we want our fulcrum, we could play around with that. For now, I'm just gonna make it a little bit longer so it kind of sticks out on both sides. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to take this object and I'm going to hide it so it's kind of out of my way. All right, so here we go. We have our fulcrum here, and this is a little thick, so I'm going to thin that down just a bit like that. Okay. All right, now we want to put a ball on here that's going to get flung up in the air, so I'm going to just place that ball right there. And let's see. Let's see how it goes. So I'm going to unhide that thing there, and it looks like that ball is going to fall in the wrong spot, so I'm going to take this whole system and move it over there so that the hole hopefully lines up with the ramp. Looks like it's going to hit. We'll find out. All right, let's see what happens. So I'm going to go to the Apple menu, and before I hit play, let's think about what we want. We want this ball to move, so that's dynamic. We want this to be static. We want this red object here. Actually, I'm going to change the color just to make it easier. This blue thing, we want this to move. We want this to move, but we want this to be static. So we're going to make that static. All right, let's see what happens. And then I'm going to change the color of this one just to help me kind of know the difference between the two. I'll make it purple. Okay. All right, let's see what happens. We'll hit play. And, oh, okay. So obviously we got some problems here. One problem is the ball is falling. It's not hitting where the shadow is because it's kind of having a little arc to it. So we're going to have to move that a little bit. Actually, it might work if that thing doesn't fall off. Okay. But we also, this blue thing is just sliding off. So we have to put some sort of a stopper over here somewhere to keep it from doing that. So let's go back into our design and let's bring out a box. And the box will kind of keep this from sliding. I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to make it right about there and right about there. And that's going to kind of stop this thing from sliding off. At least I hope so. And I could put a little edge on this thing just to kind of make sure it can't go anywhere. So put it right there like that. Okay, that's going to kind of stop that whole thing from falling. Okay, well, let's see what happens now. So we'll go back into our sim. The sim has a lot of trial and error, as you can see. We want, let's see, this is all good. That's still static. We want this object and this object to be static. So we'll make that one static, and we'll make this thing static so it can't move. And now let's try our system again. Hit play, here it goes, and boom. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of bounce there, but not a ton. It's bouncing a bit, but it's kind of falling all over the place. So let's see if we can fix that up some more. Let's try a few things. One thing we could do is we could put something that keeps this blue object from sliding off. So maybe what we do is we put a little cylinder. We can put a cylinder right here and put it like that. And we can make another one on the other side. I'm going to lift this thing I'm going to lift up. So let me get this out of the way. Get this out of the way. Shoop, get away up there. All right. So I'm going to put one cylinder here, and I'm going to copy paste it. I'm going to put another one on the other side, right about there. And then I'm going to place another cylinder. I'm going to stretch it out. And I'm going to make it go across 90 degrees, and I'm going to make it thin. Make it really thin. Ta-da. And put it in between the two. So let's see if we can do this. Stretch that out, drop it down, and I'm going to put it right about this. Nope. And then down. And hopefully that will keep this ramp from sliding off too far. Okay. So let's see how that worked. So I'm going to maybe I'll bring this down just one more click so it's really close to the blue thing, not touching. That looks pretty good. All right, so I want to kind of group all this. So I'm going to click on that one, hold the Shift key, click on that one, hold the Shift key, click on that one. So it's all one object, right? And I'm going to group that. Okay, and then let's see. I'm going to, let's go into the SimLab. Let's see how it worked. So we want that orange thing to be static. And let's go ahead and hit our sim and see how it goes. Yeah. Oh, missed. Let's go back and see where. Oh, just almost. Okay, so that's a mistake. Let's click on this whole thing and let's arrow it. Oops. Oops, I messed up. Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh no. My mistake. Anyway, so let's try that again. So we'll go into the SimLab and we'll hit that play button. Here we go. Hit play and the ball goes boom. Okay. Now if we want to try to get that ball to bounce more, we got a few options. One is we could make this object something lighter. And plastic is pretty light, but maybe we change that material to something like, I don't know, let's try wood. And this object is already steel, so we like that. Let's make this this thing here, let's make this bouncy rubber. Let's try that. And maybe that'll make a difference. And then we can also maybe raise this up a little bit. Let's see, and give it a whole bunch of... There it goes. Gosh, just keeps glitching on me. Whoa, that's a big fall. Okay, much better.